What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up 1.35%, 220 the low, $2.31 the high. Very interesting stuff going on with Lucid. So it is oddly outperforming the broader market. You don't see that happening all too often. So right now, like the NASDAQ is down 0.35, S&P down 0.13, and Dow is down 0.14. A couple of different fears that are starting to surge, and that is just Tariff Tuesday. It seems to be a very common terminology that people like to say. So a lot of tariffs are going to be kicked in force tomorrow. And then as well, you do have this data that did come out. So manufacturing data, a little bit lower than the forecast. So forecast was 51, actual 50.3. This does break the trend that it has been on for like 4 consecutive reports. So a little bit more of a pullback, but essentially still above 50. So it does show more of an expansion still occurring in the broader market, just not to people's expectations. So in reality, that's what's dragging the broader market down. Lucid's doing rather well considering what I'm going to talk on in a second, but no official news from Lucid itself, no SEC filings. 2 things I do want to bring up though, unofficial of course. One was this, so a video of an Air in Korea, and that isn't the first time we've seen some sort of video of Lucid in Korea. There was this that was posted a couple days back, or like 2 weeks almost, and it showed the Gravity. So I think for a long time, in fact, they've always tested in Korea for whatever reason, South Korea, just to be clear. But again, nobody's really asked why, and Lucid's never really announced why, just people just accept it. But there was this one random article that I did find that came out in the beginning of February, and it turns out the reason why they are testing in actually like South Korea is because they want to transition. They're going to use that as a transition point for Europe. Because I know like kind of mid 2024, there was some rumblings of Lucid wanting to go into China. Just, of course, there was a lot of negativity associated to that, and there's a lot of competition, but it's nonetheless, they've been really testing in Korea for I feel like a good year and a half now. So maybe 2025 might be the year that you see Lucid really start to transition to Asia. So I just wanted to bring this up. And second point, it's kind of comical a little bit, is this. So SK Invest did tag me alongside a couple others, and Tim Cook just said there's something in the air. So I think there's always going to be just Lucid investors really wanting some sort of partnership with Apple, which you never know, could come maybe in a decade or whenever else. But as far as the market's concerned, Apple has taken a step back from anything EV related for right now. So you never know, anything's possible. But like I said, it is very surprising that Lucid is outperforming the broader market, as shorts are doubling down once again. So they are increasing 5.08 million shares. So going into today, shorts basically increased like 25 million shares over the last 3 days. Massive increase. So you can kind of see this crazy chart right here. So it just pops, goes from around 19.4% short interest to 24.58. So as I kind of mentioned in my video yesterday, whoever is shorting Lucid really does want to either destroy Lucid, but then again, if you think about it, it's just a kind of a startup, right? Like it still it's not profitable. Like there's not really anyone that there's no real benefit unless it's Elon. I know people always just joke saying, hey, is Elon shorting Lucid? You never know. But I think the more viable option is someone really wants to hit the PIF and cause them to bleed like a lot. So there's no other explanation why shorts would be increasing this much today. So again, interesting stuff. So they're increasing, like I said, 5.56 million shares. Moving over to options, you have 466,000 in calls, 96,000 in puts. So kind of low dollar value today. But on a side note, 57% of all the options being done are optimistic in nature. Of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $3 range. So you're still seeing some good optimism for a recovery. And then oddly enough, I'm not really sure why, but for the week ending March 21st, 2025, there's a lot of activity for that. So of course that's a monthly chain, but I don't know what would really be coming out to really drive Lucid higher, unless it is correlated with what was stated in the Q4 earnings, how there's going to be a marketing push and big announcement. Maybe it's kind of targeting that. Based on the bears, though, they're anticipating for it to be sub $2. So again, take that into consideration. Not much activity going on the secondary market. So 4 buys, 2 sells. So again, that's kind of abnormal for Lucid a little bit, because there's been a hell of a lot of selling. So good to see this as far as that. With it right now at $2.25, trading between this pivot and this S1. So 209 is a strong support, and I believe on Thursday it actually did touch 209, or it might have been Wednesday. Don't quote me on that, one of those 2 days. But regardless, 209 is a strong support. Flip side, 244 is going to be the next strong target / resistance point. So interesting kind of stuff going on with Lucid. And so moving over here, so no new analyst ratings since their earnings. So I've already covered pretty much all of them. So in case you haven't, there was this one. It shows yesterday, but it actually came out Friday. So $3, Stifel Nicholas, Stefan, who has a 39% success rating. You had Bank of America downgrade. So as a consensus, $2.39, and that does represent a 6.46% upside. So nothing really new for this. On the actual chart though, still not really much positives to bring up. So it is below all the key pivotal moving averages, below the ALMA, 50, 100, 200-day moving averages. Stochastic RSI, on a positive note, as I've shared with you, is very oversold. So you could see a little bit more of a push higher. So maybe that is why Lucid is somewhat outperforming the broader market. But still, on a positive note, there's that's pretty much the only thing to take away from the chart. It's quite the crazy pullback. But as I mentioned in my video yesterday as well, that if you believe in the gap needs to be filled mentality, essentially that does mean that at least for the foreseeable future, sometime it might recover to that $2.60 to fill this gap. But let me know your thoughts on Lucid. What's your viewpoint on them, or at least all this testing going on for them to potentially transition to Asia? Do you think that is a smart move, or do you think it's negative? What's your kind of viewpoint on all of that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Give yourself a shout out if you've been buying, if you've been selling, and what you've been doing. One final thing though, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.